Hi, in this video, I would like to look at hire purchase and how we work with it. It is reasonably easy to purchase something simple, like a bar of chocolates. You can choose your chocolates, pay for it, and leave the store. Your transaction is complete. But it isn't always easy to pay for something like a television upfront in full. And this is where we use hire purchase. Hire purchase allows the buyer to pay an initial deposit. This is usually a percentage of the price of the object that they are buying. Then they can pay off the outstanding balance in equal monthly installments with interest. When working with hire purchase, we always use simple interest. To better explain how we work with hire purchase, let's look at an example. Sam wants to buy a television set that costs $20,000. The store allows her to pay 10% deposit now and the rest over the course of 2 years at an interest rate of 12% per annum. Part A asks how much will Sam pay each month, and B, what is the total amount that Sam will pay. Now, before we try to answer parts A or B, let's look at the information the question gives us. Sam wants to buy a new television set that costs $20,000. The store allows her to pay a 10% deposit up front. So let's find out how much that is. So we can say $20,000 for the TV. Let's take 10% and turn it into a decimal. So we can multiply 20,000 by 0,1 and we get $2,000. This is the deposit that Sam is paying. Now we can find out how much is left over. So we can say $20,000 less the $2,000 Sam is paying as a deposit. And we get an answer of $18,000. This is the outstanding amount. Now, it would be simpler for us if all Sam had to do was pay off the $18,000, but the store is charging her interest, so she will need to pay off more than this amount. Hire purchase always works with simple interest. So to find out how much Sam will have to pay, we can use the formula for simple interest. In this case, P takes on the value of the outstanding balance once the deposit has been paid. So in this case, the outstanding balance, $18,000, takes on the value of P. A will be the total amount Sam still owes the store. N is the time Sam has to pay off the cost, and we always calculate this in years. And I is the rate of interest given by the store. Let's find out how much money Sam still owes the store. So we need to solve for A. We know that P is 18,000. The question tells us that Sam plans to pay off the outstanding amount over 2 years. This is our N value. So we can say N is equal to 2. The store offers her an interest rate of 12%. So to find I, we say 12 over 100, and we get 0,12. Now that we have these values, we can put them into the formula and solve for A. So we say A is equal to P, 18,000, open our bracket, then we have 1 plus the value of I, 0,12, multiplied by N, which is 2. And we can close our brackets. Now we have 18,000 outside of the bracket. Inside the bracket, let's multiply I and N. 0,12 multiplied by 2 gives us 0,24. Add 1 and we get 1,24. Now we can multiply this bracket over here by 18,000, and we get an answer of $22,320. This is the amount that Sam still owes the store. So now we can look at part A. Part A asks, how much will Sam pay each month? Now, the store does not want Sam to pay the whole outstanding amount in one go. Hire purchase allows buyers to pay off the total amount in equal monthly installments over a set period of time. To find the amount that needs to be paid in each installment, we take A, the total amount owing, and we divide it by the amount of months given in the time frame. We have just found that Sam owes the store $22,320. This is our A value. Now we need to find out how long Sam has to repay the store. The question tells us that she aims to pay off the amount over a course of 2 years. But how many months is that? Well, there are 12 months in 1 year, so 2 years will be a total of 24 months. Now that we have a value for A and the amount of months, we can find out how much Sam will pay each month. So we can say 22,320 divided by 24 months, and we get an answer of $930. This is the amount that Sam will need to pay in each monthly installments. And now we can move on to part B. Part B says, what is the total amount Sam will pay? Now that we know the total amount Sam has to pay over 2 years is $22,320. But remember that Sam also paid a deposit of $2,000 when she was in the store buying the actual television. So to find the total amount Sam has to pay, we add A and the deposit together. So we can say 22,320, our value of A, plus the deposit, $2,000, and we get an answer of $24,320. This is the total amount that Sam will pay for the television. Let's do another example. Angelica wants to buy a microwave on a hire purchase agreement. The cash price of the microwave is $4,400. She's required to pay a deposit of 10% and pay the remaining loan amount off over 12 months at an interest rate of 9% per annum. Part A asks, what is the principal loan amount? B, what is the accumulated loan amount? C, what are Angelica's monthly repayments? And D, what is the total amount she will pay for the microwave? Let's start with part A. Part A asks us to find the principal loan amount. It's our P value. It's the outstanding balance after the deposit. And to find P, we say the cash price less the deposit. So let's find out how much the deposit is. The microwave costs $4,400. So let's make a note of this over here. And Angelica has to pay a deposit of 10%. So let's change 10% into a decimal. We can multiply by 0.1, and we get $440. This is her deposit. So if Angelica pays $440, how much is left over? So we say 4,400 minus the 440 deposit, and we get an answer of $3,960. This is the outstanding balance after the deposit has been paid, and it is our P value. Now we can move on to part B. Part B asks, what is the accumulated loan amount? Now, the store is charging Angelica an interest rate of 9%, which means the total amount that she still owes is going to be greater than the outstanding balance. So we can use the simple interest formula, and we need to solve for A. We have just found the principal amount, P, is equal to 3,960. Now we can find our I and N values. Angelica plans to pay the remaining loan off over 12 months. Remember that N is always calculated in years. So 12 months is 1 year. We can say N is equal to 1. The store offers her an interest rate of 9%. So to find I, we say 9 over 100, and we get 0,09. Now that we have these values, let's put them into the formula. So we can say A is equal to P, 3,960. Open our bracket. Then we have 1 plus the value of I, 0,09, multiplied by N, which is 1. Now, outside our bracket, we have 3,960. Inside our bracket, 0,09 multiplied by 1 is simply 0,09 plus 1, and we get 1,09. And finally, we can multiply these values together, and we get an answer of 4,316,4. But remember, we are working with currency. We are working with money. So don't forget our dollar sign. And when working with money, we leave our answers to 2 decimal places. So this becomes $4,316.40. This is the total amount that Angelica owes on the microwave. And now we can move on to part C. What are Angelica's monthly repayments? Remember, to find the monthly installment, we take A and we divide it by the amount of months. We have just found that A is $4,316.40. The question tells us that Angelica aims to pay off the loan over 12 months. So to find the installment, we say $4,316.40, and we divide this by the 12 months, and we get an answer of $359.70. This will be the amount Angelica has to pay each month. And now we can move on to part D. What is the total amount she will pay for the microwave? Remember, the total amount is the value of A plus the initial deposit. We know that A is $4,316.40, and Angelica also paid an initial deposit of $440. So to find the total amount, we say $4,316.40 plus the deposit of $440, and we get an answer of $4,756.40. This is the total amount that Angelica has to pay. Let's look at one more example. Thomas wants to buy a new computer on a hire purchase agreement. The computer's cash price is $5,000. Thomas pays a 15% deposit and plans to pay off the rest of the cost over 30 months at an interest rate of 9.5% per annum. An insurance premium of $10.75 is added to every monthly payment. So how much are his monthly payments? Now, before we can find out Thomas's monthly payments, we need to determine how much Thomas owes the store. But before we can do that, we need to find out the outstanding balance, how much is left over after the deposit is paid. So in this case, let's find out how much the 15% deposit is. So we can say the cash price of 5,000. Let's change 50% into a decimal, 0.15, and we get an answer of $750. This is the deposit that Thomas pays. So let's see what's left over. We have 5,000 less 750, the deposit, and we're left with $4,250. This is the amount outstanding. But remember, the store is offering an interest rate of 9.5%. So the total amount that Thomas owes will be more than this amount over here. It will be our A value when working with simple interest. So in order to find A, let's find I and N. We know that P is our outstanding balance. So over here, let's make a note and we say P is equal to 4,250. Thomas plans to pay the rest of the cost off over 30 months. It is the duration. But remember, we always calculate in years. So what is 30 months in years? Well, 12 months is 1 year. Let's add another 12 months. That's 2. 12 plus 12 is 24. And if we add 6 months, we get 30. So we have 1 year, 2 years. 6 months is half a year. So N is 2.5 years. We can say N is equal to 2.5. The store offers an interest rate of 9.5%. So we say I is equal to 9.5 over 100, which gives us 0.095. Now that we have these values, we can put them into the formula. So we can say A is equal to P, 4,250. Open our bracket, 1 plus the value of I, 0.095. Multiply by N, we're going to squeeze it in over here, 2.5, and then we can close our bracket. Now outside of the bracket, we have 4,250. Inside the bracket, if we multiply 0.095 and 2.5, and then we add 1, we get 1.2375. Now we can multiply this bracket by 4,250, and we get 5,259,375. But remember, this is money, so we always round off to 2 decimal places. So the value of A is $5,259.38. This is the total amount that Thomas owes the store. Now we can find his monthly installment. And remember, to find the value of the monthly installment, we take A and we divide it by the amount of months. So A is $5,259.38. And we're going to divide it by 30 months. So we say over 30, and we get $175.32. Remember to always round your answers to 2 decimal places. And now we're almost finished. We have a monthly installment, but the question tells us that the store charges Thomas an insurance premium of $10.75 for each monthly installment. So we have to add these values together. So we can say $175.32 plus the insurance premium of $10.75, and we get an answer of $186.75. $1.07. This will be the amount that Thomas needs to pay the store each month.